What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Hyatt, aka Trax, on this wonderful, warm Sunday evening. We're just coming in to you to talk to you a little bit with our guest, who is also a journalist for Bears Wire, Nate Atkins. He's running a little late, so we're just going to talk right now with Steve Weekly. And Steve, how you doing, Steve?
Hello.
Yeah, Steve just got promoted to a job. So hey, congratulations, Steve! I'm really happy for you, man. It's awesome. So I
Thank you.
knew the cream rise to the top, baby, and now he's. You want to tell us a little bit about your new job, or?
Producing a show for Sean Sierra, or goodness, both S's. Sean Sierra, you interviewed him a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
Must have bragged me up because he wanted to take a look at how I could help him, and I'm cutting up video and doing commercial stacks and all that good producer stuff for him. So hopefully,
Nice.
hopefully, like you said, the cream rises to the top, but it don't turn to cheese.
Right. Yeah, sports show in Chicago is pretty big, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
said that.
they stream to Facebook like we do, also to Facebook, or I think I said Facebook twice, didn't I? YouTube and Facebook. They also have their own app that they stream to, and they have a Roku app, so they stream to Roku TV also.
Okay. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I think they also do Twitch as well. Don't they stream with Twitch?
Not
Or
at the moment. I
not
think
at the moment.
they're planning to, but not at the
Okay.
moment.
Yeah, that's what it was. There's talks of it happening or something, is
Mhm.
what he said on the show. So cool.
Yeah,
So man, I'm glad you're a part of it. That's exciting. That's good to hear. That's right in your repertoire and your scope of
yep.
work in your past. And that's why I brought you on, man, because you know, without you, we wouldn't have all of this, and all they would be looking at is my big fat head, and that's
Well,
but
that'll get
right.
it done.
So yeah, anyways, while we're waiting on our guest from Bears Wire, the journalist, man, I'll tell you what, they pump out a lot of publications too. I mean, every time they'll snap your neck with all the information they come out. I mean, it's just, anything new. I don't know if they have like a special line that goes right to Adam Schefty's phone or something. Because
It's possible.
seriously, yeah, I mean, as soon as something comes out, these guys, I mean, like
Yeah.
literally, even with some of the guys that write articles for Lester Wilfong from Windy
Mhm.
City Gridiron,
Yep.
WCG. I don't know what it is, man. Like they'll print out an article to you, like literally like
Mhm.
35 seconds right after you see breaking news. I'm like, really? Was it really that breaking? Because I don't know anybody that can write that fast. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they generally finish the article and then they put up that they, hey, by the way.
Yeah. Here's everything that you
Yes.
ever needed to know about this.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be cool to have him on because it's a whole
Absolutely.
different. We use all the journalists' tools
Mm-hmm.
in our
Yep.
broadcasting. We literally take their information, we make it ours, and then we talk about it. That's pretty much it in a nutshell,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, you know.
Yep.
So, but
Well,
while we're waiting on
you
him,
figure
man,
they get to go in and see practice and actually talk to the players and that. So,
oh, really?
and then we listen to what they say, and then we just, we give our opinion on what they said. So, it's
Yep.
it's a plus win-win situation.
Okay. Yeah, and his most recent article is really cool. We've got it saved for you guys. Lord willing, he hops on. Unless something popped up, who knows? Maybe there's something breaking right now, and he had to go whip something up. You know what I mean?
Or
So
maybe he's covering the sky also, because I think they're playing in a little bit, aren't they?
oh, yeah. I mean, anything. Sometimes you double book and get busy, and hey, you know what? Here at Chicago Sports Tracks with CST, we understand that. We're cool with it. We'll have them on later, but you know what? We could talk Bears, baby. Let's take it back to the old days, old school, when it just used to be you and me and whoever else pops on, But
Yeah.
did you get a chance to watch the Bears game?
Yeah, yes, I did actually. I was spending an evening of watching the Bears. I watched all 4 quarters, so
Wow.
even the second half that was actually kind of disappointing. But if you want, I got a few clips if you want to show the people.
Yeah. Let's see what you got.
All right, here we go.
1st and 5 for the Bears. Justin Fields looking downfield. Ryan Griffin, and he gets the touchdown. A beautiful pass by Fields. 22 yards on the score, and the Bears are on the board first.
Allow those linebackers to be able to run. That's exactly what this defense wants out of that position.
And Fields on point. Dante Pettis. So another first down for the Bears. Fields. Looking deep. Oh, boy. He's got a guy wide open, and it was Cole Kmet for the touchdown. Justin Fields, 3 TD tosses here in the first half.
Wow.
Yeah, the first half was what you want to see. I know the Browns weren't at 100%, but last year that was a top 5 defense in the NFL. And yes, I know they were missing 2 defensive tackles, and I believe it was one of their cornerbacks wasn't starting for the game. But still, that offense just ripped them apart. I mean, the second touchdown was because of a defensive play, an interception, which is nice to see. So it was a short field on that second one, but they just moved. That first the first time they had the ball, it didn't look so good, but after that they started clicking, and it was just boom, boom, boom. I think a light switch somewhere for Justin Fields just sort of clicked on, and you could see it, and it was really nice to see.
Yeah, man, he likes hitting those tight ends, don't he? 2 different tight ends.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that last touchdown, he had his choice of which tight end he wanted to throw to. They were both. Well, I mean, Kmet was wide open, but
Griffin.
Thank you. I wanted to say Griffith, like Andy Griffith, but Griffin, he was covered, but he was still open. So I mean, he had to decide who he wanted to score the touchdown with on that one.
Yeah. Now, when you're watching this, I watched some. Like I said, I'm really busy. Couldn't get quite to it, but I watched a little bit. I watched Lester break it down early on Twitter, and the first couple plays, it seemed like, from what he was saying, we literally forgot to block for him. And then we started to remember to block, and it got better. And first 2 plays, I believe it was, is what he was talking about. And then it got better, obviously, throughout that. What did you see as far as pass protection and the run game?
Well, the first 2, that first series the Bears had, I think the Browns guessed right, because the first 2 plays the Browns defense ran run stunts, and they stunted right where Montgomery was going. So I'm not saying any foul play that they knew anything, but they guessed right, and you could tell. And they missed some assignments up front. I know in the second half, the he didn't call the Mike linebacker real good, and that caused that sack they had was because he forgot to call the Mike linebacker position. So they did an 8-man blitz and they picked up 7, but didn't get the 8th man. So
Right.
I was happy with what I saw. Kevin Jenkins is going to be a man at guard. I think he's found a home, and he is an angry young man, and he's found the right spot because I think that's the answer there, which is awesome. That's really what they needed. They needed that to help get things figured out.
Right.
And as far as pass protection, the line looked pretty good as far as pass protection. The backs are starting to pick up pass protection a little better too, because I was watching. I was really paying attention to that, especially the second team in the second half when the backups were in, because I wanted to see, how Khalil Herbert and see if he had been working on it. And there was a couple of plays there where I could tell he'd been coached up because he didn't miss that block that time. So I think it's all really good signs. They're stepping in the right direction and starting to pick it up.
Yeah, I think people are still, because we're removed a few weeks, several weeks actually, from Lucas Patrick being injured. With you being a seasoned coach, and your focus is run heavy and blocking.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it to have that piece on the line that is the guy, in my mind, to me, has been, and you heard Steven Edwards, from the Bears we had on, he talked about Olin and how Olin was always, orchestrating, that's the word that comes to my mind. And along with my center too, really good at babysitting. I mean, telling us where to be, what's going on, what he sees, this, that. Do you feel like Lucas Patrick is that for us, and could that actually elevate us and people around him once we get him back? Because there are talks that he could be ready week 1, if not for sure week 2. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm assuming that it's going to have to take him some time to get that part of the job down.
Okay.
Because as a rookie, there's a lot to learn, and that you got to build towards stuff like that. Right now I'd say probably Cody Whitehair is the one doing most of the line calls. I mean, you could do that at guard also. You don't have to be a center to do that. Either guard, whoever's got the most experience is probably who they've got doing most of the line calls up there. I thought they did I think they did whoever's doing it right now is doing a decent job, because after that first set of downs, they really picked it up, and even their pass protection, the Browns were running some pass stunts up front, and they were shutting them down. So you can tell they're really getting the communication going now.
I think that's real important too, because so many times we've sat back, you especially, because you've been watching the Bears forever.
Not forever. I started in 1977.
You watched when I was born. You sit back and you watch us just get smoked, hand after hand. No progression, no evolution. It's good to hear you say that we progressed and we pointed, in the right direction and got things corrected. Now that Lucas Patrick coming from Green Bay,
Mm-hmm.
where our offensive coordinator was from, when he gets back from the injured list, I think that's going to be, week one. I
Yeah.
think that's going to be pretty huge in my opinion. And
Yeah,
he's
no,
going to be
I
able
agree.
to. What's that?
I agree. I think that when he gets back, he'll probably take over line calls and doing, getting everything stowed away because he does have experience in it and
Yeah.
experience in the offense, and he's a veteran too. So
Yeah.
So right now, for having that hole in the middle in that last game, I think they did a pretty good job altogether.
Now, are the Browns, are they strong on the outside, not so much on the inside, or do you think they just have an all-around good defense?
Well, I'll say when they get their starters back, they have an all-around good defense. Last night, they were a little weak on the outside because they weren't playing either of their starting defensive ends.
Oh, really?
And like I said, one of their starting corners was out. So, last night's not an exactly accurate of what you can look for down the road, but all told, like I said last year, that was a top 5 ranked defense in the league. So just missing 3 starters really shouldn't have deteriorated it that much. So I think it bodes well. It definitely bodes well.
Yeah, and they also do what they call splash plays, force fumbles, sacks, interceptions, all those kinds of things they do well. And when those people are in, like you're talking about, sometimes you have to plan for that and double team those guys and leave a guy who's not necessarily somebody you would leave unassigned. And
Right.
if you did assign somebody to that guy, there's a good chance that he really wouldn't make a big play on you. But sometimes you have to give a little somewhere else to get that extra protection,
Right.
over here. So it's difficult really to, I mean, I'm just saying that you really have to change it up. And I think they're doing a good job at that. I looked at some of the things. I like how they threw to their tight ends. I like how they threw to their receiver. Seemed like they got a lot of people involved. I know that's part of the game planning for preseason, and we really can't go too deep into it, and say, oh, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, whatever. But I think you get a good understanding for the rhythm and stuff, and to see what exactly, could happen per se. Well, somebody reminded me recently that the Detroit Lions, when they went 0-16, they were undefeated in the preseason. So it's like, pump the brakes. And then one team went on to win the Super Bowl, and they didn't win any of the preseason games, so.
Right. Yeah. I'm hoping it's not some sort of bad omen.
Yeah.
I know in '85 the Bears lost 2 preseason games.
Yeah.
So I'm not all that excited about being undefeated in the preseason. Let's put it that way.
You know what, though? It's good to see us out there competing, getting after it. It's good to see all the different levels of people in there, because we might not even have been familiar with any of those people had they not been on there for the preseason. You know what I mean? So to them, it's important. To them, it matters, because
Absolutely. It's a paycheck. That's
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of, hey, I've always played this as a kid all the way up. This is my hopes, my dreams, my aspirations. Everything is depending on it. all the people along the way that have sacrificed for this moment. There's a lot into that. So for them, it's everything. You know what I mean? And I think somebody had said that we did a really good job of putting together a bunch of guys, because I think we had like 19 guys return. So you have to fill all those holes. We didn't have a whole lot of people left on the roster. So,
Right.
and
Right.
all the contracts that they're signing, the majority of the people are like a 1 year, 2 year prove it deal. So it's not saying, hey, you know what? We know we got trash, so we're going to give you a 4 or 5 year deal because you're better than the last guy. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, it's you can tell that Ryan Poles is got his ducks in a row. He has a plan. So one problem with last regime, I think a lot of times they were just taking shots in the dark. I mean, where they lost me is when they signed Graham that one year. I was like, and for the money, I was like, wow, they're never going to get they're never going to get that kind of play out of him. Why are they paying him that?
Yeah.
And then they signed him, and then they drafted Komet. It just didn't seem to be very cohesive. Their thoughts were very cohesive, but now you can see that there's a plan in place,
right?
And they're actually trying to work towards building something,
right?
I mean, some of these guys, when they were talking in the game, that 9 out of the 11 rookies are seeing significant play time. I mean, that's not necessarily a good thing. But what it says to me is that next season, no matter how things go this year, next season, the depth is going to be there. Which, if you've got depth, it's easy to put the icing on top of the cake.
Right?
It's hard to ice a cake with a bunch of holes in it. You know what I'm saying? So if they're able to build up depth this year, and get Fields to turn a corner, I think it's going to be a successful season.
Yeah, and what do you think necessarily about the Raquan situation? You think that's going to get resolved, or how do you think that's going to pan out? Do you think we should pay him that money, or what's? Hey, first off, let's put a pause on that. I want to just let you know there's people over here in the comments that have been congratulating you and thanking you. So let you know you got some fans out here, man. They congratulating you for your new job. Jamie Birdsong, one of our staff members, Douglas, him as well. There's and another person, a Facebook user, said, thanks, Steve. So, man, it's good to hear, man. It's good to see.
Well, I appreciate that. It's kind of silly because I'm old and starting a new career, but better late than never, I guess.
But you know what, though? It's in your scope of work. It's what you do, and you've had so much repetition that leads to retention, and people see what your skill set is. And I knew it was just a matter of time before an opportunity came, and I, without even knowing for sure that we would lose you altogether, I went ahead once I found out there was a need, and somebody lost when Sean lost their producer for I said, hey, you know what? I got a guy, let's
over.
And then I'm like, oh, by the way, will he be able to play with me still? Because I really need him. Don't let him take the ball home.
No, I really appreciate that. I was surprised. To be honest, I don't know. I'm not real sure what I was thinking, but when I interviewed with him, I got a little nervous because I'm like, oh, okay, so this is a little more of a big time show. Not that our show is bad by any stretch. I think it's pretty damn good, but we're a bunch of hobbyists enjoying ourselves, and they're trying to get to the next level on the other show. So I was like, oh boy, I don't know. But after the first show and worked the nerves out and busted off some of the rust, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can do this. I know. I remember how this goes.
Yeah. There's no show, no lights too bright for you, bro. You've seen all the lights,
I've seen quite a few of them.
So, but yeah, man. So, anyways, there's that, and then bear down. Yeah, but seriously, yeah. Getting back to that, what are your thoughts on that? How's it gonna pan out?
Well, before the second game, the second preseason game, I was pretty much thinking, okay, this is a 4-win team. Then the second game, I was like, well, they've got some really good depth. I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a 6-win team. And then after this last game, and I saw how well the starters were able to do, I'm thinking that they could be 500. I really do. I'm thinking an 8-8 season is not only possible, but maybe probable.
Is that the basement, the floor, or the ceiling? Where are we at?
I'm thinking it's not the basement, and it's not the ceiling. It's probably the second story.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I would say the ceiling, it would be maybe a 9-8 season, maybe one or two games over 500, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't see the playoffs happening. I mean, some crazy stuff would have to happen for them to make the playoffs. But,
and by all rights, in another division, that would definitely land you in the playoffs, my friend. But we are really starting to, and mark my words, I know you guys all want me to piss in a cup after I say this. But all honesty, I have not taken any hallucinogenics before this show or during the show. Okay. Right. I will tell you on record that the Lions they're going to roar. I mean, I like that coach. Mm-hmm. Basically what we're doing is what he's created over there in Detroit. And those guys, when you watch their games, they fought and clawed every game, man. They were in it. They never gave up for him. And he's a good coach. I like him. I don't know how smart he is. I don't know about the X's and O's, but he's somebody that just really makes you want to get out there. And, I would even block for his old ass, maybe a play or two. Need to take a really.
I mean, when they start up the Old Timers League with the Geritol squad, then we'll go out and block for them.
Yeah.
No, last year the Lions didn't make a market improvement. And it was the coaching staff. I mean, Golf isn't the quarterback that
Stafford is.
Yeah, he's not the quarterback Stafford is, but yet the team as a whole seemed to perform better. with Stafford gone. So that tells you it had to be the coaching. And it's like with what the Bears have going on, if you have a coaching philosophy and the players buy in, then things will start to roll, instead of pushing uphill, it'll start to roll downhill.
And they got that running back Swift.
Mm-hmm.
They got Jamal, I believe, another running back. I think they got like 3 running backs. They got don't they have St. Brown's brother or somebody over there that's they got a few wide receivers. I think they got a tight end from Iowa that my buddy just loves. I mean,
they've got yes,
Anchor Schnitzel or something like that.
I can't remember the name, but yes, they have what seems to be the top flight tight end.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's pieces there. They're basically in the same boat as the Bears. There are pieces there. It's not a complete picture yet, but there are pieces there. And the only thing we can hope is, being Bears fans, is that the Lions do what the Lions always do and mess up the draft.
Yeah. And the Vikings, man, every year they just seem to put a squad together. They've got a good squad. They got a good quarterback there. The Packers are still the Packers.
Yeah. Well, as long as Aaron Rodgers is around.
Yeah. He owns the Bears. He's part owner.
Yeah. Well, I was saying a joke last year, if Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, when he was talking about retiring and all that was going around, I said, well, maybe Aaron Rodgers is going to call in his ownership stake in the Bears, and he's going to decide to play for the Bears. That would be awesome. But it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Use his ownership option and decide to play for the team he owns.
There's another shout out to you from the main Cheryl Childers, man. She is a ball of fire, man. She does everything for us. She does the birthday. She does the dinners. She's even got a squad of people helping her out with all of that too. But she's put a lot of time and effort and work. I know a couple instances where Cheryl had some things going on in her personal life, and somebody half her age wouldn't have muscled up and stepped up, and she, without any help, even though people knew that she had some things going on, man. And maybe somebody did approach her and ask for help. Knowing her, she probably said, I got this, So
Go away, leave me alone. You're ruining my vibe.
Yeah. So yeah, man, for her to, she gave you, she said, thanks, Steve. Best of luck in your new job. You deserve the recognition. And you do, man. I mean, we're all, you can see it. There's so many, even in the messages that I get all the time. Our show is really taken off since you've been here, man. The intro, the exit. And it's funny because all this stuff is ready and prepared. And so I'm like, I got this, I don't need the producer here. I could just hit the buttons and whatever. And there's been at least 2 times where I didn't just hit the button.
Yeah, it's
and I was like, dude.
Yeah, no, producing doesn't get you much glory, but it's required. You know how hard it is to be the guy steering the ship, and so it's hard enough to do that without having to push all the buttons too. So you got somebody who's got a big index finger, can push the buttons good. That's always a good thing.
Or a back scratcher, or
whatever's needed.
Hey, Frank Marshall also says, man, these guys, they're always in the house representing, man. They're always here. They got our back. Chicago Clubhouse podcast, man. So thanks, Frank the Tank, for showing up, and thanks for saying hi to us today. I know you guys are busy with your own shows and everything else going on. But yeah, so we're just talking some Bears. Let's go ahead and grab some questions from that Bears game. See if you guys got anything you want to say or add to us, and we'll try to answer those questions as best as possible. Or if you just want to, get it out there and say what you think, you know what I mean? So
and if anybody, I know this is kind of a silly statement because our fans and the people in this group are well educated. But if anybody just has a straight football question, you can ask me. I played in high school and college, and I coached high school football for 20 some odd years. So if I can't come up with the answer, I'll lie really good. So whatever questions you got, hit us up with it and see what we got.
yeah, and you know what? Honestly, I would like to have somebody on the show. If anybody wants to come on the show, let us know and we'll hook you up. Seriously, fan appreciation night. You guys want to come on the show, If not, just drop a question or a statement, say whatever you got to say.
Yep.
Oh, Doug has a good question. What happened in the second half?
Well, what happened in the second half, in my opinion, because they've started to lock things down with the starters, the guys that were backing up in the first two games kind of got out of sync a little bit. It wasn't the backups that you'd seen because there was definitely something missing. I know what he's saying. I think it was just when you first off the backup quarterback didn't have as many targets to throw to because the receiving core is so wiped out. And on defense, they just lost intensity, I think. When you got that big a lead in the preseason, the guys that are pretty sure they're on the roster, they're starting to take their foot off the pedal a little bit. And when you're getting down to the third and fourth string guys, it's a talent gap, plain and simple. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually in lockstep with you on that. I couldn't agree more. I think that's exactly what we saw. And when you take the foot off the gas, things like that happen. It gets closer and it gets closer and things happen. If we would have kept the foot on the accelerator and kept our starters in there, there's no telling how high the score would have ran up. But quite honestly, why?
Right. Yeah, and that's another thing. Why? Being it's the last preseason game, I know in the later part of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, there was a lot of guys that were on the field that you're not going to see again. If they're still playing, they're going to be on practice squads somewhere. I mean, they emptied the bench. You could tell there was a lot of guys that even in preseason I hadn't heard their names before that were playing in that fourth quarter. So they got everybody some film and got everybody a look, which as a coaching staff, you want to do that. You want to give everybody a look, and even if you're not gonna, if it's somebody you're not gonna keep, you want to at least give them some film so that they, other teams around the league can at least see them.
And you know what? To add to that, you're right. But also, there's a lot of people on there that we know because they've been on our team for a little while. But there's a lot of other teams out there that don't know who the hell is on our team.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like.
Well, I remember back, it would have been in the 90s, I want to say 93, 94, when Cap Boso made the team. And he made the team in the last two preseason games because in the first two, he didn't didn't see the field, but then somebody got hurt, and so he moved up a spot on the depth chart. And then the last two preseason games, he got in with the second string in the first game he played. He got in with the second string and really stood out. So the fourth game, he was, no, I don't think he started, but he was in real early, and he just had a hell of a game. He was catching everything that was thrown to him, and he managed to stick on the roster that year. So, I mean, that's why you want to make sure you get a look at everybody so that somebody doesn't slip through. Doesn't necessarily stand out well in practice, but he's a gamer, and you let him get away, and somebody else latches onto him, and he's a star. That's not something you want to happen.
Yeah, and it's also too where you look at guys like Braxton Jones. He might not have ever had the opportunity anywhere except for the Bears to actually year one as a 5th-round draft pick to be able to start this year.
Well, true. I mean, it is because he did get lucky that the Bears drafted him.
Yeah.
But the one thing to keep in mind about the draft for this year, Braxton Jones, 5th-round player, in any other year, that's a 3rd-round pick. That's a 3rd-round pick instead of a 5th-round pick, because the NCAA extended the eligibility another year for a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
So this year's draft was like double the number. The amount of talent in the draft was double. So this year I'm not going to pay too much attention to when a guy was drafted, because a guy that was drafted in the 7th round any other year could have been a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah.
Depending on position. But,
right.
Because there was just so much talent in the draft this year.
Same with Velus Jones.
Yep.
He was drafted later on, maybe 2nd or whatever. So, we'll just have to see what type of production that they have.
With Velus Jones, I think that he could have easily been a 2nd-round pick somewhere.
Yeah.
In a normal draft year, just because he was older, I don't think he'd have got the 1st-round looks.
Right.
I mean, what is he, like a year and a half older than anybody else? I mean, come on. He's 50.
He ain't no Chris Winkie, 29 years old. You know what I mean? So,
true.
People start to, they're always old. Come on, 25? It's not really that bad, dude.
No.
Hey, I don't know about you, but I'd love to be 25 right now, huh?
Oh, back in the days when I was 25. We can't talk about it. We can't talk about any of the stories.
Back when you didn't have to put neoprene sleeves on to get your workout completed,
Actually, when I was 25, I still did, because I had to have a knee replacement by then. But yeah, no, a lot of the poor decisions made by young people. I lived up to that. That's for sure.
Well, it's interesting because I see a lot of offensive linemen, even without bad knees, they wear the knee support now. You know what I mean? So that's just something they do. So that doesn't necessarily. When I was playing
in college, they just started that, where if you were a lineman, defensive or offensive lineman, you were issued a helmet, shoulder pads, and 2 knee braces.
Really?
Preliminary, just protection. Just extra protection out there, because when you're down in the trenches and you're close to a pile, that's when knees get taken out, and the knee braces help, to give you a little extra protection.
Yeah, and there's actually a guy that just went out, wasn't it? what team? Oh, the Saints. Wasn't that their center or one of their?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
they lost somebody who's probably done for the year.
yeah, top draft pick gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate, and you're around those piles, and it just there's always a scrum going, and things happen and roll, and big bodies are moving around and flop, and you pick up, and sometimes you're not even in the same spot that you went down in. So, and you always got to be watching after the hit. It's not always the hit, the first initial hit is not always the hit that takes you out. It's something that happens after. I remember there was a guy, and I don't know what he was doing, but it worked. He would pull on my socks on the bottom of the pile, and I was down probably 4 times that game, one of them with a fumble recovery. But this guy would pull the crap out of my sock, and my sock was, and I had the tall socks back then. And this was when West Nile was like rampant. So I was pulling them up as high as I could so I'd get that extra protection so I wouldn't get the West Nile. So I got them tall, long tube socks and I'm pulling it all the way up to my knee. And this guy just continued to pull on that sock. And all game long, I was messing with them socks, man. It was always in my head. So whatever he did kind of worked, but there's just weird things that happen at the bottom of the pile. You might have somebody freaking put their finger in their mouth and put it in your ear and give you a wet willy or something. It's a weird breed, man. Us linemen are weird, so.
Yeah, bottom of the pile is not a nice place to be. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, my college career got ended by being too close to a pile. Somebody, was jumping in the pile, rolled off, and took me out.
Oh, okay. So this whole time I thought your knee went out because of wrestling. I didn't know it was football.
Well, it went out twice. The first time was in wrestling, and that's when I had to have the surgically repaired.
Yeah.
And then the second time was in football, because I wrestled in college when I was a freshman, and then I rehabbed. And then I transferred to Aurora University and played football there for 2 years until I got my knee taken out again. And it just same knee. And that's when they had to replace it. Was when they because it was surgically repaired, but it was weak, and then just get rolled up in a pile like that, and then they had to go in and repair and replace the knee. So it ended my career.
Yeah. Well, I think that about wraps it up. We don't really have a whole lot else planned. I guess this guy, I trust something went down and he'll be back. We have a really cool article that he just finished. Really great put together article. And I wanted him to break it down for us and kind of get us the backstory and what happens, back there as a journalist, So I'm really excited, interested. It's just something that, normally don't think about, and we just kind of take it for granted how it all comes about, So I don't know if you've ever interviewed or talked to a journalist, but I'm really intrigued by it,
Mm-hmm. Well, I've talked to a couple of them. When I was in school, we'd have journalists come in and talk to us about stuff, and it's interesting. I mean, I don't know that I have the skills to be a journalist, because I can think up a great story, but from my mind to my fingers and put it out there is where the block is for me.
Yeah.
So, I did do some when I was with the Windy City Bulls. I did the pregame show a couple of times and got to interview the head coach and things like that.
Wow.
And I found it to be something that I found to be difficult. because asking the right question is coming up with the right question is it's not an easy task, to and ask the question the right way to get the answer that you're kind of looking for. Personally, I found that to be a difficult task, but there's people out there that are great at it. And my hat's off to them.
Doing it in real time, that's that's a challenge. Right then and right there on the spot, without any prep work or anything like that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyways, hey guys, thank you so much for coming on, and we appreciate you, love you. Wednesday, we have a very special guest coming on. Excited about that. So please stay tuned. Come on at 8:30, and yeah, that's all I got. Anything you got, Steve?
No, I would say tune in 8:30, or if you want, you could turn in Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 8:30 in the morning and see the show I'm working on Sports Treks or Sports Zone Chicago, and give that a look and see what you think. So that's about all I got.
Yeah, Sports Zone Chicago. I'm excited to check that out too. I've watched a little bit, when I dug in before I caught up with Sean and interviewed him. I looked at some of his, past, info and all that, and got to know him a little better. And man, I'll tell you what, different level. It's so cool. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. What time does that kick off at?
It's 8:30 to noon.
8:30 to noon. Wow, that's a lot of time.
Yep, it's it's basically a full show, like a radio show. But they're trying to turn it into, they're trying to make it to the next level and get, take things further.
Yep.
We're just having fun doing a hobby. So.
Well, and the good part with you being there is you elevate our team. So there's things along the way that you help us out with, right?
I will do my best.
Out with. So you're already sharpening iron as we speak, brother.
I'm trying.
Also, I want to give a special shout out to our sponsor, TC's World of Wonders. If you have a need for any sports attire, whether it be jerseys, he specializes in. And you know what? Local stateside guy. Several people. He's probably, this is I'm saying at least in the 70s, close to 100 items he's already sent out. And we just started this relationship with him. Great quality guy. And usually he'll get it out within 3, sometimes 2 to 3 days, sometimes 4 days. And he promises to have it within a week, but it's always much quicker than that. And then if it's specialized, he says a couple weeks, but I wouldn't be surprised if it got here even sooner than a couple weeks. But get a hold of him at 502-855-9494. Text him, call him, or just get a hold of, Tom Chesser on Facebook, or get a hold of me, and I'll give you his information. He also gives all of our members a 10% discount. And, be a little patient with him right now because he just had an accident and he's on the mend. But even with that, man, from what I hear, people are still getting jerseys in the mail. I think one of our staff members got a jersey, a Chicago Cubs jersey, 2 to 3 days. Wow. So nice. Really cool. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah. All right. Well, you have a good night, Steve, and thanks for coming on, brother.
Yep. Anytime.
All right. Bear down.
Bear down.